This show is part of the Transpodcaster Visibility Initiative.
Lumser, I'm bored. What plaything do you have to offer me today?
Again with the weird folks out of the SK system, man. Something called nostalgia.
Are they out of Florida again?
No, I wish it was. Florida's been quiet. I might have to look into...
Too quiet.
Too quiet. I might have to look into several areas that have been loud in a few past weeks. But still, it's also something a little bit might be obscure, man. Something known as Baby Babylon 5? But something
well, you can
along the line.
You can lose your mask.
No boom today. Okay. Something along the lines of no boom today, boom tomorrow. Always a boom tomorrow. I know a lot of obscure quotes from Babylon 5. I am such an old school fan of that. It's JMS is one of those folks. As a writer, he's been around for many years. He's done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's done Ghostbusters. He's done so much in the past. And plus he's written a lot of wonderful comics. I wish I could get the digital books for Babylon. Yeah. I wish I had the digital books for Babylon 5 for the Kindle app. I did check Uncle Tony, and he doesn't know where any of those are. So, but still, there's been rumors around for a reboot or a continuation for years. I don't mean since 2018. I think since like 2010, there's been rumors. And it's always been yes, no, maybe, yes, no, maybe. But in the past, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks, there has been several bits of news coming out. One of which is as per a TV series that was supposed to be secured by the CW. That's no-go because the CW currently released their fall schedule, and Babylon 5 as a series has not popped up. So a lot of speculation in regards to what's going on is still up in the air. But right now, CW is nothing. And so far as in regards to that, Arrowverse is gone. So is Superman and Lois. The Winchesters and Supernatural verse is gone. All that, and even the Powerpuff Girls is out of development. But with Babylon 5, one thing that it has been kind of confirmed is a animated movie, or at least one of several animated movies that are coming out recently, or will be coming out hopefully soon. Or I should say that are in the works at least. Where they'll be dropping, whether it be Paramount, HBO, CW. I haven't seen HBO. I haven't seen word as of yet.
Shock and terror with Sasha, the Princess of Darkness, and Chris, the Martinsburg Madman, in Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness reboot.
So, as you know, you are presently listening to Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness, a reboot. And I, of course, am Sasha Constantine Monroe, aka Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. Your host is here, and I've got my sidekick here, the Madman, out of Martinsburg himself, Christopher Lumser, also of the Longcoat Mafia podcast, where a lot of our stuff can be found if you don't want to pay for an OnlyFans.
That's right. I am Chris, aka the Martinsburg Madman, aka the Reverend Godfather of the Longcoat Mafia podcast. So we are found on.
So what's the whole Stavros thing about? Because I know about the name Stavros.
Stavros?
Yeah, like your one email. When we log in this stuff, is it Starvos? I have no clue. You have to look at it. I'll send you stuff later. It just confuses the hell out of me because I'm like, where did Starvos come from?
Oh, that's one of the things that if you look up GoFundMe, folks,
Oh.
I have a GoFundMe right now to help offset costs of a new laptop and some new equipment. If I get pretty much the goal I'm asking, I could get a brand new computer and some extras for my end of things, and help transfer stuff from my old computer to the new computer. But if it goes beyond that, it helps offset other costs, or depending on how much over it gets, I might get let's say best case scenario, $1,300 total. I'll get a pawn shop find, and I'll have a laptop to go. That way, if I go on events to cover like a 4-state or what have you, I have a laptop in my bag to go. But what Sasha is talking about, if you Google GoFundMe, Salvos is one of the. It's like an ad. They pay to be that top ad.
No. Since you and I share certain passwords and emails and logons, your one account, Voodoo, has Starvos in the beginning of it.
Starvos?
I'll
what?
Send it to you later. I think it's part of your email or your one email that for your login.
I know for my Voodoo, it's my other Gmail.
Yeah,
and it's the roster Rev Chris. Maybe that's
okay.
what you.
Yeah. My eyes catch on the very tail end of it.
Maybe that's what you were picking up. And folks, quick fun history in regards to that email. It came from somebody on Xbox Live party. I was playing like Call of Duty or something like that, or Halo. This is, I want to say over 10 years, over 15 years ago. And I don't know what the guy was smoking, taking, or whatever. He's like, "Oh, you sound like you're a Rastafarian. You sound like you're from Jamaica." I'm like,
okay,
whatever. And when it came time to change up my email, and because I am on internet ordained, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to own it and just call myself the Rasta Rev, and I inserted my name in it. So it was just, and
I knew there was a funny story there.
Yeah.
So if you want to submit art of listening to just his voice of a Rastafarian version of Chris, we will gladly accept it.
Yeah, and I'll post it up to the show's Instagram too. And I'll post it up. Rule 30. No Rule 34. No Rule 30. Wait a minute. The show does have an OnlyFans. Send Rule 34. I'll start posting it to my show's OnlyFans, and any funds I get from that, I'll put towards getting new equipment.
Chris is a Rastafarian. Hashtag Rastafarian.
But I'm willing to roll with it. I know I'm not knocking Sasha with this. My OG co-host would say, "If you do it. If you'll help offset, do it.
We'll make T-shirts. It'll be his regular logo for this show."
Oh yeah, I'll make T-shirts. Matter of fact, we know we both have me and Sasha run in the same circles a lot of the times, and let me put it like this. We've been threatening to make a shirt in regards to Matt Burns for the past 6 years. Since I think it was Melfest, I think it was called. Melloween. Yeah, something happened at Melloween like 6 years ago, and it was something funny that happened with Matt, and me and my OG co-host have been making fun of him in regards to it every now and again for the past 6 years. We've let it die. The funny thing is we let it die, and Matt brings it back.
So,
and we're like,
one thing, if you ever want to torture him on, and I used to do this to him all the time. A couple years back, I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there's an episode where Bernie Burnside, the station manager where April works, gets a girlfriend, and every time she's in a scene with him, oh, Burnsy! Anytime we would see him, we would say that.
Either way, because this is on, we've kind of mentioned me having a GoFundMe. Sasha has the link, and please, anything helps. We already have a $50 donation in, thanks to Jennifer from Black Dog Coffee. She's been the Long Coat Mafia's unofficial, official sponsor, non-sponsor.
Official.
Because every time So, because every now and again it's like, how you doing? Chris, here's a bag of coffee. You know, like let me pay. Like, I don't care here. So, she's done that every night. She doesn't do it often, but she's one of the few local business owners I'm more than willing to support when I have the funds. And she's a super sweet. She's a musician and everything else. And I love meeting with her and seeing how she's doing. So, but either way, what's next on the docket, Sasha?
Okay, so since we talked about, I think, was it last episode we touched on Evil Dead some?
Or yeah, something like that.
Yeah, either that
or something like that. It might have been last week because we talked on Evil Dead. Because the title of my last week's episode was when we talked about the Evil Dead. I think I titled the episode when Evil Dead Rise. We talked about Dead Island 2. So yes, it was last week.
Yes. So Evil Dead Rise now is a little bit more available to people because most of its theater run has pretty much concluded. Because we got a lot of big ticket films coming in the cinemas right now. You got Guardians 3 out, everything else. So obviously HBO Max, since it was a Warner Brothers film this go around, I mean, man, that license has changed hands so many times. But Warner Brothers has it available now through Vudu, and I almost guarantee at some point it'll be on HBO Max before you know it, if it's not already. But anyways, since it's more accessible, some people have had the time, because there are people who want to find controversy where there's controversy, or where there's no controversy.
Right.
You know, and to me, it's like, I don't get it, but okay. So the actor that plays Danny in the movie, who is the DJ, who, spoiler warning now, danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Danger, spoiler.
But anyways, Danny, the I want to say middle child, because I'm guessing that Bridget is older than Danny, because there's kind of maybe you should learn to drive, as if Bridget should have been driving before Danny. That would be my assumption, but I could be wrong.
I thought Danny was the older child, but I
could be wrong. I somehow see him as the middle child because he's a little bit closer to the youngest one, but I'm not 100% on that. But regardless, anyways, Danny, he's a DJ. The earthquake happens, the parking garage opens up, and there's a hidden vault in there. He's the one that finds the records and the book.
The records and Necronomicon, or
Necronomicon, volume 1 of 3.
103. And from there, hilarity ensues.
Yes, and basically he's kind of the one that causes everything to go to pot, and no, he doesn't survive. And the fact that the character might be trans is never mentioned, or is it
right? And that's the thing. It's like and the thing is, that's what I this happened when I told you, that was like 3 days ago, something like that, 3 days ago, that it came across my desk, my feed, prior to it hitting Sasha's feed. And whereas in correlation,
ran an article about it recently, and I'm like, oh well, that's nice, but it's
like one of the things. Central. Well, but what I'm trying to say is, it wasn't like back in December when Hellraiser came out. you're the one that told me that the person playing the priestess was trans as well.
Jamie Clayton.
And this was just like the reverse. Like, yeah, I'm hearing all this controversy right now about Evil Dead Rise. And you were like, I think you were like, what's happening now? I'm like, well, apparently one of the people playing one of the characters in it was trans.
Yeah, that was Danny.
And Danny. And to me, it was like, I didn't know, I didn't realize.
It wasn't brought up.
Like, it wasn't brought up. It wasn't like it was shoved down everybody's throat. Yeah. It wasn't, essential. It just, there.
But
and
the as I like to call them, the anti-woke people that are out there, even though the people that they call woke never use the phrase woke unless we're talking about them.
But it's not
has latched onto this.
Depending on, this is where again me and Sasha might separate ways for a lot of times, and where this is one of those prime examples where we're on the same page a lot of time, and where we could also go be on separate ends of the spectrum a lot of times, where I'm not completely like, you shouldn't be trans and being part of the movie. I'm not that type of motherfucker.
Right. And but I get where a lot of people were saying, oh, well, this trans character's in their teens and it's supporting medical transition during the teen. Well, the actor isn't in their teens, first and foremost. Secondly, they don't do treatment like that until you're 18. You sometimes can get blockers, and they've been proven not to cause any harm. But the problem of it is again, there's a panel of doctors, a panel of therapists, a panel of psychologists.
And the thing is, if this character, let's say the character in this movie is 17.
Yeah.
At driving age, which is in a lot of states,
16, 17.
The minimum 16, like 16, 17 in most states anyway. There is nothing stopping a person who might have been born a uterus-carrying woman,
AFAB to be short,
and wanting to transition to a man, and vice versa.
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with that. And when they become a legal adult, start taking the medicine and all that. But then again, you have each state might be different. If you can be seen as a consenting adult at 16 per se. I'm not a lawyer. I do not play one on TV. Right. So therefore, there could be some leniencies if there were an age of consent is. So again, not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. But again, if someone, I'll play one on TV. But if someone wants at 17 is feeling uncomfortable with themselves internally, or if they are a born at birth woman and they feel like a male, and at 17 they want to identify and dress and so forth and so on as that, again, I see nothing wrong with that.
Right. But so if somebody's assigned female at birth, AFAB, just to be simple. And the thing of it is at the end of the day, the movie doesn't talk about any of that.
Doesn't
cover that.
Right. And just like with the Hellraiser movie, it didn't like say, hey, look at me, I'm trans, or hey, right, we're shoving this down.
There is an Easter egg, if you dig, it's there. I encourage everybody to watch it. I'm not going to dig it up here, but do dig. Hence, I want more views on that because I want a sequel. But there is an Easter egg in Hellraiser. There's nothing like that in Evil Dead Rise. Not only that, but Evil Dead Rise is an R-rated movie, and it's a hard R. You know, right, it's so hard, even pirates are afraid of it.
Sasha knows what I'm talking about. It's like, it's not really present. It's not pushed like with Evil Dead Rise. It's not present or really pushed. It's not really a central point to the movie. Yes, there in Hellraiser, even in my review, there's like, yes, where I saw it, if it's the same Easter egg that Sasha's trying to point out, there's an audio bit in, if not audio, it's when they show the diary in Hellraiser, it's either audio or in the diary in Hellraiser. It says it could take the priest or priestess can take any form.
Oh no, the
And
diary goes into a little bit more explicit detail. One of the
I have to go
boons
back
that
and
the
watch.
present priestess was that they wanted to be female.
I might have missed that explain, but I saw that it could take any form, be any form.
Right.
And I saw that when I saw that on screen when I watched it, I saw it as a way of them explaining going from Doug Bradley to this new person.
Right.
And that's how I saw it. And I saw that's a one. And in my head, I think I said in my review, that's a wonderful way of acknowledging Doug Bradley and transitioning to this whole thing with the priestess. And that way they're taking nothing away from at least the first two original films and having this. And again, the woman that played the priestess in Hellraiser had, again, big shoes to fill with Doug Bradley.
Have you seen Sense8? It's a series on Netflix. Jamie Clayton is a central character in that.
But I'm saying she had big with Doug Bradley. She had big shoes to fill.
Right.
When somebody makes a character legendary, it's just like somebody trying to fill Freddy Krueger's shoes. Robert Englund made that role iconic and legendary.
I'm not gonna.
It's big.
With what's his name that played Krueger, the recent Krueger, he was good. The movie was just not done right.
I'm just saying, Robert Englund made the character larger than life.
Right.
It's kind of hard to feel when somebody makes a character larger than life. It's a hard big shoes to fill and hard to come out of that shadow. And the actress that played the priestess did a bang up job filling those shoes. Did she come out of that big shadow? I want to say maybe not, but she did fill that shadow. She made that role her own. Right. And but I was proud of that. And
Evil Dead Rise, there is no Easter egg like that. They don't go into the detail that Danny is or isn't trans. They don't go into what treatment either the actor or Danny may have been.
Because it wasn't necessary to the plot.
And it's not like Danny's shirt got ripped open and we saw bindings. So it's like, get over it. It's not essential to the plot. Big whoop. And it's an R-rated movie, so how is it encouraging kids? I mean, if your kids are watching R-rated movies, let's have a whole other discussion. You know what I mean?
Now, that's the thing. That's the thing. I saw a post on granted Twitter. I'm trying to get back into Twitter, but someone saying that he runs a horror streaming, like a horror podcast, straight up, and he tends to curse a lot. I think the person behind it is a he. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But he was stating that someone posted a comment on one of his videos, said the video came up and they were watching the video with their child, and why did he have to say a curse word? My child was present. And he was like, his reply was, one, I'm a horror podcast. There's going to be cursing. It's not made for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much at your own risk. And my reply to him was, I get you and I understand. But then again, when I was 10 years old, 11 years old, I was watching a horror. I was watching Evil Dead. I was watching DC. It wasn't so much DC Cab is not a horror movie, but it's R-rated. And pretty much there was cursing throughout the movie. And it's one of the only roles that you see Mr. T himself cursing up a storm. So it's still, I was watching R-rated movies when I was like 10, 11 years old. So
but it was the 80s. Our PG-13 was hard. So
no, our PG was hard. Case in point, What was Sheena? Sheena. Full frontal.
Watch
Full
Wizards.
frontal. PG film.
Watch the animated
I have to
film
rewatch it.
Wizards.
I have that on Vudu. I gotta watch it. But
PG-13,
still,
and it's like.
and it goes all out. It's like, what the hell?
But anyways, to me, it's like R-rated movie. It's not central to the plot. You guys are trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. And if the person's trans, they're binding
Right.
it anyways, so there's no molehill present. Get over it.
Right. And this is one of the times that me and Sasha are on the same page and all this. Like that. And Sasha kind of knows how I can get sometimes a little bit. I could almost approach the conservative side of things, and that's where both me and Sasha disagree sometimes. And though
we
we
never
disagree,
get mad
we
at
talk
each
it
other.
out.
We
never
talk,
get,
and
but we respect each other's viewpoints a lot of times, and it's just to each their own. And it's this one times that we agree. It's like it's not there. It's not even if it was. It came out in the movie that, depending on how the context of it was in the film, I might have issues with it, but overall, I might say, it just felt out of place. But overall, it was still a good movie. Even this, finding it out now after the fact, like my opinion of the movie still stands. It had no part of the film. It didn't affect the film. I enjoyed myself, and still, of course, there's a chainsaw in it. I
17,000 gallons of blood. If your children are watching this movie and they're under the age of a certain age and they don't have your permission to do it, you need to recheck your parenting.
Again, I stated before and I'll say it again. I was watching horror movies. I didn't really get them, but I understood one factor when I was 13 years old, going through puberty. Horror movies had tits.
And that's why when my movie gets made, it's going to be blood-covered killer tits. With teeth.
And that's going to be my whole aspect. How'd you die? Slasher was woman and she was naked. Okay, I'm cis. All right, I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So you're the guy in Leprechaun 2 who thinks he sees tits and walks into those lawnmower blades.
Yeah, I'd be. That would be my dumb ass.
Get ready to get motorboated.
Yeah, I was going to motorboat some tits, but I was under a hallucination spell, and I didn't realize it was double-bladed lawnmower.
Wouldn't you caught like the reverb from your voice a little bit though? Like, man, I'm starting to sound like Darth Vader the closer I get.
You'd think, but it would have to be a good. By the way, I work my current 9 to 5. I teach folks how to toss axes, and when they get the axes in the handle, I'm like, listen, do not bring in the fae. They're like, what? Leprechauns, elves, gnomes, fairy, that sort of thing. And by the way, speaking of leprechauns, we don't want them in this bar. They drink too much. They try to make deals. There were at least seven movies made about the trouble leprechauns can bring. Two
One of them
which
was space,
occurred in
two
the
of
hood,
them were in the hood,
and one was in space.
No good comes of this.
No good comes with this. And my boss doesn't give me any iron to get them out of here. Not to mention the salt
change every
we
movie,
have.
though. Worked last time, won't work this time. Anyway, but yes, let it go.
Anyway,
It's nothing.
let it go.
It's a good movie. Go watch it. And if you can't deal with that, go cry about your Bud Light and let the rest of us enjoy beer movies and stuff. Okay. All right.
That's it. Hold it.
I hope that's not Bud Light in a sippy bottle. That would be hilarious.
That's another post I saw up on Twitter because they showed someplace selling it for like $4. It was like $3.50, $4 with tax. And though I'll put it like this, though I may understand why some folks are boycotting Bud Light. I said understand. I doesn't mean I'm supporting it.
It was one can. One.
Some of the folks that I heard, some ultra right conservatives have took it way too far. Some of the concerns I heard that were maybe closer to the center, were saying that because the person's audience was majority of kids, is why they went up in arms.
I think they need
that's
to
again. That's what I
because
that's what I was hearing.
Because technically, Instagram and Facebook and most social media, in their bylaws, you need to be 18 to use it. And if your kid has an account on Instagram or TikTok or any of these other places, you're a bad parent.
But again, that's some of what I
those
heard.
movies
But
Megan is missing. Yeah, you're living it.
But the sign for the 24 pack of beer was like $3.50 plus you have to pay tax. I was like, listen, I might not drink Bud Light. I might not, be fully supportive. If you want to protest and you want to boycott Bud Light, that's your prerogative. But you know what? $4 if I'm po. I'm broke most of the time. $4 for a 24 pack of beer that will last me about 6 months. I'm buying that.
Well, this is
I'll
what I
buy
think is
Bud Light.
funny.
I might not.
Because people I know who are protesting it over it, I'm always like, number one, you know me. Number two, here's a long list of all the beer companies that support people like myself every Pride. And number three, here's my address where you can send it to me. I will dispose of it for you properly.
My aspect is like, yeah, you know that you hate Skittles or M&Ms during Pride Month because they're being supported of the LGBT.
Give them to me.
One, they're just trying to get extra money during a month.
Yeah,
and that's month. All it is.
And they go back
1 month. 1 month. 1 month they're trying to placate people in the LGBTQIA plus community.
1 month.
Buy M&Ms year round? Yes. But if they put a rainbow flag on the package, sales go up a little bit during that month. Yep. But you want to know as well, I could also turn around and turn to someone like Sasha and say, guess what? They're not doing on their accounts in the Middle East or in China or in Russia where
they're not
LGBTQIA being that they're not doing it. So
that's why every June,
it's a money grab.
I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I'll take certain evil corporations like the Umbrella Corporation or Weyland-Yutani or Skynet, and I will throw it up in rainbow colors. Engine.
But either way, pretty much what I'm drinking in here right now is off-brand Mountain Dew. So Diet Mountain Dew.
But yes, just let it go. Evil Dead Rise is a great movie. Just enjoy it. Look at all the blood. If the trans person bothers you that much, they die about well into an hour into the film.
Right.
Get over it. But anyway, speaking of horror movies, you did see Scream 7, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Overall, it was decent. Did I kind of see it coming? Maybe not.
When I saw that the roommate, the actress's name, that is the one roommate, what did she call herself? Sexually related or something? Because they referred to her as kind of a slut, and she's like,
"Oh,
I'm sex
the
positive."
Cop's daughter.
Yeah, I'm sex positive.
The cop's daughter.
Well,
that's the
in
cop's
real life,
daughter.
They're actually father and daughter, and that to me was clue one. And I was like, well, we have a father and daughter here. This is going to be a family affair, ain't it? Now it threw me when they said that she was dead, and then I was like, yeah, but I didn't see a body come out in a sheet, and not only that, he's a cop. And it would be real easy to have people look the other way. And I'm like, the kid dressed up for murder party because that was the outfit that he wore in the beginning of the movie with the little cardboard night outfit, straight up murder party reference. And I was like, I bet the other one's the really quiet, awkward kid who just wants to get laid. Because let's be frank, aside from the first trilogy of Scream movies, most of the killers have been people who have just been trying to get laid. And with Kirby being in the film, and the one really dorky, what's Kevin McAllister's last name? But McCalkin. The one McCalkin brother being in that Scream 4, it was kind of like, he was dorky trying to get laid and sleep with Kirby, who's a returning character in this one. I wonder if the new dorky guy is also a killer. So I was pretty spot on with it.
That to me seemed a little bit, granted, I won't say it's not really a cash grab, but it played a lot like it had a lot of the point for point for that one had. It had a lot of point for point that sequel had when they were in college, and it just
because there's 3 killers in that one too.
Yeah, it was just like they're paying off the original, and it being kind of self-aware. They're kind of, it's. I just looked at it. I was like, meh. It just lost it. It just where it was. It being this was 6, where it was kind of revolutionary back in maybe second or third film. Now 3 films past that, it's kind of all just passe. You're just rehashing the first 3. It's like, of course there's going to be red herrings. Yes, there's going to be a surprise twist. Good chance most of us are going to see it coming. God, why are we watching this again?
But you know what we're going to see in the next one, right? Because it was hinted at yet again heavily in this one.
What?
You didn't catch it?
I might not. I was kind of paying attention and yet not paying attention.
Well, first and foremost, if you paid attention to a lot of the marketing prior to this movie coming up, like the big deal was, it's in New York City. They did posters done up like subway lines. And each subway line was either one of the killers, and the others were one of the victims or people who were killed. And like it was funny because like when certain terminals were closed, they were the killed off people. There was one terminal of a killer that wasn't closed off. And do you know which killer that was?
The brother?
No. Goes all the way back to the beginning, my friend. So, here's the thing about having a TV dropped on your head. Do you know how many people actually died of heavy CRT TVs being dropped on their head and being electrocuted? That were over the age of 15?
2.
No, 0. Most of them were kids because they got crushed by the CRT. None were electrocuted. So, it has been a long, firm belief that Stu Macher, and it's been hinted at in all of the movies since number 1, that Stu ain't dead. And in fact, when they go into the murder museum, they see the TV, and somebody's like, oh yeah, that's the TV that killed Stu Macher. And what does our movie film buff say? Yeah, if you believe he's dead. And the original script for Scream 3, it was going to be a cult. And guess who was the head of the cult? Stu Macher.
Stu Macher.
And so, rumor has it that we're building up to maybe an 8th or 9th movie where we get Stu. And I'm like, ooh, because that could be real interesting. Because think about it. I mean, the whole line of peer pressure, I didn't kill anybody. How are you going to prove that he did or didn't? There's no physical evidence to know for certain that Billy did screw some people up. And that he could say, oh, I was manipulated, I served my time, there's no evidence that I killed anybody. He could be out on witness protection, helping people solve the crimes. You never know. And that'd be a great way to bring it in, but that's just my personal weird theory on it. But I enjoyed the movie. Did you catch the end credit stinger, which I thought was fucking hilarious?
I tried to, on the platform I was watching it on, it kept kicking me out for another film
If you go
when it was going.
If you're on HBO Max or Paramount, you have to, when it tries to kick you out, you go back to the little box that's showing the credits. And
I was watching on my tablet. It wouldn't let me do that.
That sucks. But there's an end credit stinger, and it's hilarious because it's very self-referential. Because again, it comes from our movie critic, our movie buff, and she basically says at the end of the film, not every movie needs an end credit stinger. And I'm like, yes, because I could see Randy Meeks doing that had he had survived. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to me, it was good. We get to see Jenna Ortega's character kind of evolve a little bit. There was character development, you know, because you had the one sister dealing with the fact that, hey, Billy's my dad. Billy Loomis is my dad. And then she's eventually at the end of it, I think she tells the cop at the end, don't fuck with the daughter of a serial killer. You know? And then, Jenna Ortega shows that she's got a little bloodlust too, and she pretty much attacks, Virgin Boy with the knife in the face. I mean, it went hard. Like the door kill and that opening kill, like, I will say it was very original because I didn't see that coming. I was like, well, this is different. With the killers that kill off the blonde chick,
the teacher,
yeah, and teacher. Then the killer gets killed. That was like, wait,
that was
that just
that was pretty different because I didn't see that one coming a lot.
And I did like the whole line of fuck the movies, and I'm like, yes, stop being focused on the Stab series. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope eventually, because it's a huge fan theory, and I know they want to avoid that expectation, but at some point they got to give in to fan service. I would love to see a scarred Matthew.
There's going to be fan theories no matter what they do, and there's going to be fan backlash no matter what.
What if they could bring back Stu as a killer? I would be ecstatic. Now, granted, do I want him to do it the next movie? Hell no. 9 or 10. 9 or 10. That's your big 1-2 punch. And in order to deliver that properly, you need to off. What's her name?
Yeah, you can't for something like that. If they do choose to do that, you can't do it in the next movie. You have to
wait. Yep.
Skip. You have to wait. You can't do it in 7. You would have to do it the earliest 8.
And I would say, like, to do it properly, your opening kill has to be Sydney. And it has to go hard.
And if not new.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like Halloween Resurrection, we kill Jamie Lee Curtis right off the bat. No, I'm talking something intense, and that needs to be your first murder. Where it's like, fuck what you knew before. We're done with that. And to me, that'll show clout. Because, hell, if she does show up in the next movie, because Neve Campbell did get offered by, I think it was like Kohl's or one of them other major department stores, or like, they literally said to Dimension or New Line or whoever puts out the Scream films, I guess Paramount, was like, hey, we will pay Nev's salary, whatever she wants to be in the next movie, as long as there's a scene with her school shopping at Kohl's with her kids. And I'm like, that's awesome.
It's like, how can you not turn that down, work it in somehow? Coming out of Kohl's, or having Kohl's in the background or something like that, doesn't
Exactly. I think that would be rad, And to me, it would be it would be screwed up to kill her in front of her kids.
Yeah, like I said, even if she had a Coles bag, it's like, what happened? It was like, where, him or her, Campbell coming home, and she puts a Coles bag on the table, pulling out one of her shirts, at least that, something like that, a shirt, maybe even one of her brand shirts or something like that, or a Coles brand, I forgot what they're called. Even though I used to working for Coles was like,
yeah. But
let's see.
Did you catch the moment where, for some reason I can't think of her name, the reporter chick played by Courtney Cox? What's her name? It escapes me at the top of my head.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, there's a scene where they bring up Sidney Prescott, and they mention that they further submit that Sidney got married to the cop character from part 3, because they mention his name again, and I'm like, if she does show up, he better be in the next movie as her husband, because that's like the second time they brought his name up.
I mean, the goofy cop?
No, not Dewey, the other cop. Because remember, the other one takes place in LA, and there's a detective that's really investigating her, because he's like, logically, based on how this stuff works, you would probably be a killer. But I just love the whole scene that he has with her, where she basically, because at the end they're having popcorn with Dewey and reporter chick, and watching a movie. And when Dewey proposes at the end of 3. But there's a scene literally in that movie, and I've always loved the character, because Sidney asked him, well, what's your favorite scary movie? And his immediate response as a homicide detective, my life. And I'm like, wow. You'll have to watch 3 again. There's good moments in it. It's worth it.
I might have to revisit.
So Matthew Lillard being Stu Macher, that brings us into the next thing. Now, I'm quite sure you've seen One Night at Willie's, right? Or what was it? Willie's
Wonderland?
Right. Willie's Wonderland.
Nick Cage film, wonderfully done.
Say a word, just destroys animatronics the whole time and cleans the arcade. Right.
And according to, depending on who you believe, I think it's factual that he wanted to be a part of it, but he didn't want to have a speaking role as a part of it. Something along those lines. But still, he did it perfectly. I
just love the fact that he took breaks. He didnn't care what was going on. It's like,
it's like, and even the animatronics are like, what the hell?
Goes back in the back, plays pinball. 15 minutes are done.
And they're like, what the hell? He just wanders off.
Yeah.
Pops open a Red Bull and just starts drinking.
And plays his pinball.
Everybody's like, ball, and just.
But yes, great movie that was potentially one of the many attempts to kind of adapt Five Nights at Freddy's, the better one of the 2 so far. Because before we got the announcement recently that, yes, we're getting a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, brought to us by Universal. I think Blumhouse is involved. I could be wrong. I'll have to rewatch the teaser. It's only 48 seconds. Looks like Josh Duhamel is the security guard in this, from what I'm seeing from the trailer. But we do get a brief one shot of Matthew Lillard, and he's dressed up 80s style, and he's apparently playing William Afton, who, if you're familiar with the games, is the central villain known as the Purple Guy, or Golden Bonnie, who is a trap suit that comes up in later games, where it explains what happened to William Afton and why now in Five Nights at Freddy's the game part 4 that William Afton is still around, because he got trapped in the Bonnie suit. The locks locked in and kind of drilled him into the suit permanently. And
the thing is, I'm familiar that Five Nights at Freddy's was a game. I think it was started out as a mobile game.
Yes.
The reason why I was familiar with it a little bit, that it was out. I know very little of the lore, or very little of it. It is heavy. My touchings of that lore has been through Matt Pat and Video Game Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And he's a good summary
that
for it.
and that's I've watched a couple of his videos in regards to him theorizing in regards to the Five Nights at Freddy games, but not the whole run. So I enjoyed those videos, but I wasn't really paying attention to it because I didn't really play the games.
Simply
So,
put,
and I
in
know
most of
it's
the
like
games, you play as a security guard. You're either watching one of the restaurants or a closed version of the restaurants or a haunt built around the remains of one of the restaurants. Later sequels involved other things. My kid is recently playing through some of them. The most recent one being on PS4 and PS5. I think they just have a teaser trailer for the latest like free DLC for it called Ruination, which kind of adds a new story element, which they're excited for. But anyways, like the simple plot is like there was a place like Showbiz Pizza / Chuck E. Cheese's where one of the owners / workers worked there and was killing kids and putting them inside the animatronics to hide the bodies after killing them. Now, there's a whole murder revenge plot involving the two creators of the restaurant, which were William Afton, the killer, and then I can't think of the other guy's name. I know my kid's probably online screaming at me at the moment. Why don't you remember Mama Sash? You know, but anyway, because of that, of course, the animatronics are haunted. You also have this killer that now seems to be an unstoppable undead killer that keeps coming back, aka kind of like Jason, but with supreme intelligence.
Let me just interrupt you there for a moment, Sasha.
Yeah.
Folks at home, if you're watching this, please yell at Sasha in the comments saying, "Why don't you know Mama Sasha?" Hashtag Mama Sasha.
Why don't you know Mama
Put
Sasha?
it in the comments
Down below.
if this video ever gets up on YouTube.
Oh, it'll get there. It'll get there. But anyway, with the whole series, it's just a scare like kind of thing. But what's great about it is it's a series that doesn't tell you the backstory or push the backstory on you. In the early games, you got to pick it up as you play along, which I always thought was kind of cool. You'll see newspaper clippings, you'll pick up certain things, but the story's not directly related to you because in the game, obviously, Five Nights at Freddy's, you got to survive 5 nights. You know, you got to get through from, I want to say it's like midnight until 6 in the morning. Again, kid probably screaming at me. What? I'm getting something wrong somewhere. But you got to survive from when the shop closes until they open up again in the morning. Because apparently they are like, yeah, at night the animatronics get a little twitchy and sometimes they're not where they're supposed to be because they're operated by an AI, but you later find out some of them are haunted. And it's a very complex plot. You know, basically Chris said it best. Matt Pat from Game Theory really gets into detail on it. So if you get a chance, you've got a long watch list.
Yeah.
Though personally, I would say when it comes to Matt Pat, watch, of course, the most terrifying video he's ever done on Legend of Zelda's Hookshot. I always thought that one was fun. Because yes, it would kill you.
He has a lot of good videos out. I think he really recently sold one of his channels. I'm not sure to who, but that's probably a different discussion for a different time. But still, Matt Pat's one of the bigger YouTubers out there. He's got like a half dozen channels out there. He's got food theory, style theory, movie theory, game theory, food theory, style theory, and maybe 1 or 2 others, something like that. He has a
lot of stuff, but he got his start in gaming, and he helped a lot of other like theorists that are out there. Like my favorite, a guy named Austin. I feel terrible. I can't think of his channel name, but most of his videos are titled "The Science of," and most of them "The Science of Fallout," because he likes to focus on Fallout. Like for example, like he did one on laser weapons, and he starts every video with that like dramatic like don't and he's typing up a letter. He's like, "Dear Bethesda, hi, it's me
I think
again,
I've seen that. I think I've seen some of his videos."
And your laser weapons make no goddamn fucking sense.
And I like his videos. I like there's another person I subscribe to. He does a lot of things scientifically as well. He's always like it's obviously green screen. He's like in a bunker. He'll explain why certain things, how the science of warp drive, science of volcanoes, and how it affect how science sci-fi gets it right, wrong, so forth and so on. It's very entertaining. I got to pull it up, and there are many YouTubers out there that kind of do a lot of the same thing, and they're very entertaining. The one I'm talking about used to be and educational. The one I'm talking about used to be part of Nerdist for a long time. Then he kind of branched out on his own channel. So,
in fact, the guy who does the science of videos, he did this like machinima animation based on the Fallout game engine, where it's a fully acted out like thing where he voices very much akin to sounding like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, a psycho who is just this drug-addled fiend, and his adventures through the wasteland of Fallout 4, and just some of the crazy bug shit like stuff that he brings into it. He even has like another YouTuber that does a lot of the lore of Fallout, where they talk about the lore and history of Fallout. And yeah, it's hilarious. Like there's this one scene where they wind up with Hello Kitty power armor, and I could not stop laughing for hours.
Two side notes. One is like the one I was talking about. He did the science behind silver, because at the time that one came out, it was like 2020, and The Witcher, first season of The Witcher came out, and he was talking about how the reason why silver could have been used came into mythology as a way to kill or unalive, depending which platform you want to go on. Neither me or Sasha make any money off this stuff anyway, but the reason why silver was used for getting rid of vampires, werewolves, and so forth and so on is because it's antibacterial. And it was that, and I saw that video like 2 or 3 months prior to me going to the hospital in 2020. And when the nurses and doctors were like, yeah, we got to put some little bit of silverdine on your the wounds to help heal it, because I had abscesses on my back of my neck and shoulders and head. And they said, you know why silverdine we use that? I said, yeah, I watched a YouTube video explaining that in regards to why The Witcher has a silver sword and the origins of that legend. They're like, what how do you know? It's like, well, they explained that because silver has antibacterial properties to it, therefore they incorporated it into legends and so forth and so on. That's why I was like, hey, yeah, cool.
Like colloidal silver or colloidal, but it's basically like a liquid type of silver, not mercury. Don't go drinking mercury, that'll kill you. But colloidal silver, you can actually ingest it. And there are people who have implemented into their diet so much that they have turned blue. Like they have been permanently dyed blue from having that much silver in their system.
I'm sure Sasha can agree with me in regards to that. If you choose to go that route, please consult your general practitioner, your general physician, because there is that chance of, if you take certain vitamins and minerals, you can literally overdose.
Yep.
And damage yourself. The 2 vitamins you can kind of sort of overdose on is B and C, because your body easily processes those 2 vitamins directly out of your system. Beyond that, if you take too much A, K, or other supplements, you can easily overdose.
Or you can turn blue. Too far over, you're not under like 3 or 4 feet high. Blue is not a good look.
But for the most part, if you're the kind of person that takes a 1-a-day vitamin, you're not gonna overdose. But it's one of those things. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't help either. But either way, see your medical professional in regards to it. And if you do things that way, follow the recommendations.
And
So
if
we don't
your
want
spouse is taking too many prenatal vitamins, that's your fault. You're the one who gave her the parasite with your sexually transmitted disease.
werewolfism.
You know, there is a movie where you can catch that through sexual transmission.
Yeah, I know. That's why I made the reference.
Ginger snaps, the things you learn.
Watching movies, the things you learn, and that at that point when I watched it, I was like, well, if lycanthropy, in essence, werewolfism, can be considered a sexually transmitted disease,
So is vampirism.
now can vampirism be considered?
Yes, because it's fluid exchange.
It depends. And one of the folks I talked to, like, well, it depends. When was the last time they actually drank blood? Because if they're literally dry and haven't drunk anything for a while, then in essence, they're not going to, they could possibly, whether or not they're able to get aroused may depend on if they fed recently and had intake to kind of, but again, it all depends on which side of the lore you want to talk to.
And also, if we dip into sterogies, and that's a whole other conversation. Read the strain.
Sometimes the actual lore for a lot of stuff is weird and fascinating too.
Yeah, culture. It's interesting.
Culture.
But anyways, like Five Nights at Freddy's, I mean, being a child of the 80s, having gone to places like Chuck E. Cheese, animatronics were a big deal, you know.
Having seen the trailer, having it be in that 80s style and feel.
The employee education video.
Right. And it made me intrigued to watch to see the FNAF film and to kind of give folks at home out there a little bit of context. The reason why we got the Willy's Wonderland and we got Banana Splits and amongst a few others is because they were trying to get FNAF made and somehow...
Well, it wasn't so much that. It's a little bit more complicated because Scott Cawthon, ever since it took off, he's been very protective about what and how the movie's done. Now, one thing I like about Universal and Blumhouse is they respect creators. And so with Scott saying, look, my fans are going to want this to look and feel a certain way, and if it don't, they're not going to see it. And every studio he went to and every studio that optioned it, like, if he wasn't happy, he let them know, I can pull this at any point. And so you had a ton of studios that had a ton of pre-production work done, especially on the faux animatronics, like Warner Brothers with Banana Splits. They had a ton of stuff already done. And now Scott's like, I'm not happy. I don't like what you changed in the script. I don't know what you're doing here with these effects. I'm out. And I'm taking my rights with me. And he kept that option. And so finally to see this, because they announced the movie in 2015, it's been 8 years since basically...
As long as my show has been around.
Yes. You know, so, it's been basically been pushing for the last 8 years. In fact, the Comic-Con you and I were at, one of the artists that was there, Saproxy, they actually were famous for doing a lot of FNAF art. And that's why they were at the con, because they were getting a lot of internet interest for the art that they were doing. Even though they're very backwards, a-hole mom tried to steal the show from them the whole time, but that's a whole other story and separate mess we can get on some other time. And yes, the idiots I have to deal with. But anyway.
What was the convention that this person was at? Was it this past year's?
No, Waynesboro. They're at the skating rink.
Oh, at the skating rink. Oh, that
the
far
very
back.
First time we met.
Okay. I didn't know, but that's why I was making clarification, because as the folks at home that have been watching or listening regularly know that the past 2 weeks have been a little bit stressful for me in regards to getting to events and trying to do content and all that. So
yeah, it's been like for me, but I'm starting to heal. So,
but it's been like, well, in that case, I should have. When you said it's like did I miss somebody in this year's fourth date? I should have been speaking. So, but a little bit of self plugging, if I may, Sasha. Folks at home, if you're listening to this, stay tuned over the next. Since June is our official kind of quasi birthday month, even though our first official release of the Long Coat Mafia podcast was like June 11th. I tend to celebrate in June going into July. I might be starting to toss up some bonus episodes in regards to celebrating that birthday month. So stay tuned for a lot of that. I might include our first episode that we had with Sasha in that, because our audio episodes, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, they only go back 90 episodes. So a lot of our older content dating back from 2015, 2016 is not listed on those platforms. Though you could go to Podbean and listen, and either going to the website or using the Podbean app, but which you're more than welcome to do. I'd rather have that variety for all our listeners out there, no matter what their platform.
Speaking of the listeners, I just want to humbly apologize to them and you. It's been kind of a hectic week for me as well, with the e-bike accident. Fortunately, I didn't damage my head that much. All the CAT scans came back normal for me, whatever the hell that means. But it's been a rough week between the biking accident, helping my boyfriend out with his apartment and trying to get it cleaned up and straightened up and everything maintained and up to spec. And then just life in general. So it does take me a bit of time to get stuff out to YouTube. For those of you who are listeners and are upset, I have an OnlyFans. Go check it out. Go. It's not all porn. There is some there if you want some, but it's not all that. It's mostly podcasts. Here's some weird shit that happened this week. I am on TikTok now, so I'm trying to get more content out, but things have been hectic, and apologize millionfold. But more content will be out on YouTube, but you get more content if you go to my OnlyFans. And I'm not begging for money or anything, but I have this habit of enjoying to eat on occasion, and this helps. And it also helps out with production of the show, and also helps me get the movie running along at some point, because I'm going to be filming some scenes in Carlisle next weekend. So there'll be a new Princess of Darkness episode, plus some stuff that'll tease at the movie later on down the line. But it's coming.
That's why I ask you folks out there. It's like, though it seems like I am begging for money with the GoFundMe and all that.
You need it.
I'm not. Though I could probably go through a pawn shop find in regards to a newish laptop. I ask that you at least help share the link. That if anything, if you want to donate, you're more than welcome to do so. You'll get a thanks from me. Like this week, with that donation, you'll have a shout out on the show. And plus, when I finally get new equipment in, I'll do a video thanking everybody in general and showing what I got. So it's just to help offset the cost, because personally, I know a lot of folks don't like to talk about funds. I make right now with my new job, I make under 10 grand a year. Yeah, my bills are getting paid, but when it comes to getting new equipment, upgrade my equipment, get new equipment, it's kind of hard. And I don't want to beg and plead, but I'd said that I had to do the GoFundMe. So I am very grateful for those who do help. And it's just a matter of getting the word out. And sometimes it's disheartening to see some folks. Yeah, I understand, grateful that it is shared, and I understand that times are tough for everybody right now with inflation happening, and I'm one of the main folks that say take care of your own, start with yourself before thinking of some of the others. But helping out others is there. I know I have issues with some of the religious folks out there. I'm sure Sasha does too. If you are one of those folks that says, "Oh, you got to help others," but yeah, I understand times of tight for a lot of folks, including for me on my show, Sasha on hers. If you're one of those that are financially capable and all you're doing is share, like, and share, and yet you don't want to It does. Yeah, it does. But it's kind of like, yeah, I know you're, there are times, yeah, I'll say this very kiddingly with humor. There are times, yeah, I want to go to DC with a bucket with a old photo of my cutest pupper and just put like on the bucket saying, help this dog out, and just sit during one of the protests to see how much money I get. I know I shouldn't do that, but it's kind of ironic that a lot of folks will help a dog out or they'll help out somebody else or a person. So
you could
either way
it and go, give me money or the dog gets it.
do the whole Con Air aspect, or the South Park, just get a stuffed bunny and go, give me money or the bunny gets it.
Or better yet, I will eat one puppy every hour until my demands are met.
Or in regards to this show, give me money or the mask gets it.
Yeah. It's okay. I have extras now. I found
You're supposed to not say that. You're not supposed to say that, Sasha.
I have an all black one with red eyes. I don't know how well that would show up on camera.
You're not supposed to say those things. You're supposed to be threatening, Sasha.
But anyways, donate to Chris's cause because it helps a lot of people out. And like Chris has good content. Chris puts out content on the regular, computers aren't cheap,
No.
And stuff breaks down, stuff happens,
Folks, let me put it like this. Even though on the GoFundMe, I have $1,000 for a moderately on the low end, on the high end scale, if that makes sense. Meaning if I went to Walmart and got the highest performing computer that they had in stock, according to them, laptop wise, because I don't have the room in my place to have a desktop. I have to have a laptop. That costs at minimum $600.
Right.
And yes, if I got a low end version, that means it's going to go due to updates and everything else. That lasts 2 years. That means in 2 more years, I'm going to have to get a new one. But even those are $300.
And even a cheap high-end tablet won't help because they run on basically either the Android platform or Apple's platform, and a lot of the programs that you can use on a computer you can't use on a phone or on
I would have to get the Microsoft tablet, and that runs $400.
Yep,
at least. Apple's tablet, iPad, that runs close to $800. If I'm going to spend close to $500 to $800 on a tablet, I'd rather just get a laptop.
Yep.
This tablet that I have right here in my hand cost me, when I had the funds, cost me close to $300. It was like $250 at Walmart, and I'd rather keep a tablet for tablet, and it's kind of hard to edit a lot of videos on tablets or edit audio on a tablet. I don't want to do that. I like using.
No, it's not fun because
a laptop.
And the apps to use for those suck because you usually have to pay for them. And on a PC or a laptop, you can get them for free because they're operating on Windows
or cheap. I have in essence, Microsoft's Movie Maker, and I spent like $10 for it, and it has a lot of options I need. I'm not doing anything crazy. I know one YouTuber that I don't know if he still does it because he's on the go a lot of times. He edits a lot of his footage on his iPhone,
right?
Because he's able to have iMovie on his iPhone, and it's free that way. How he's able to do that, I don't know, because I have an iPod that I'm able to download that stuff with, and I'm like, how is he able to do this? I pinched no, give me my laptop. I'll do it on my damn laptop.
Right.
So.
But anyways, donate if you can. We both sound like we want to see the new FNAF movie. I hope it's good. Anything else you want to throw out?
How much time we got left? How much time we got up?
Not much, like 10, 15 minutes.
Let's use it because I know you want to talk a little bit about our origins.
Let's actually just save that for another episode.
Yeah, all right. I was just wondering,
a teaser, and we may have a guest next episode.
Yeah, I got to work on that because I guess we could talk about that. Because of thanks to Sasha, I have a new kind of way to entertain myself. And one of the things that was big on Twitter and trending was Mutilator 2. And before I even started my show, I got at a failed horror convention way back in 2008. I got to meet the cast, the lead actor and actress, the special effects supervisor, and the writer, director, and producer of the original Mutilator at that show. And I got a poster, I got the celluloid trailer and all that. I was the only one in attendance. And seeing that Mutilator 2 has been made, I followed them, I spoke to them, and hopefully, if things work out, maybe have them as a guest on our show. No, please, no guarantees, Sasha. I'll have to see.
We'll do a teaser.
But we'll do a teaser just in case. But I'll DM them, see if they're willing to be on a tiny podcast and YouTube video aspect of things. And
my audience has waited 5 years for a Princess of Darkness movie. They may have to wait a couple more years. They're a pretty patient lot.
So we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll get somebody on in regards to it. And let me just say this: when I shared the photo of having that trailer, of that celluloid trailer, and the original box, production company box with the working title on the side, I got a gift comment like shock, like jaw drop, and their response was like, "Oh my god, how the hell did you get this?" I was like, "Yeah, failed con, like
right place, right time,
right place, right time." I was the only one that showed up, and it was a guest, it was a gift, and it was like, I hope you're keeping that safe. I'm like, yeah. When I moved to my current location, I put it in a slightly larger box, and that slightly larger box, I pretty much same way I mummified your Xbox. I taped it up. First it was electrical tape, then it was shipping tape, then it was duct tape, and it's as waterproofed as it's going to get. I might actually go into my storage and get some when I get extra funds, get some of the rubberized spray that you see that spray it with liquid rubber so it stays waterproof and airtight, and it's not going to see the light of day ever. If it does, it's going to be somebody that I trust, that is a film historian, that will want to literally keep it and restore it nice and safe, and it has to be trusted, and have the credentials that they're not going to wreck it. Or if I went to DC, like somebody in the Smithsonian level of being a historian, that they know what to do, that sort of thing. If Sasha can understand it. So,
but
either way,
as we like to say here, keep it real, take scare, and keep cool, and unpleasant screams, and we'll catch you next time.
And I'm a gamer. I'm wearing a bikini.